In an age of globalization, remote work, digital connectivity, and decentralized power, one might assume that capital cities are becoming less relevant, that their importance is fading as the world becomes more interconnected and less dependent on physical centers of power. The rise of virtual offices, the decentralization of economic activity, and the increasing influence of international organizations and multinational corporations all seem to point in the same direction, towards a world where the physical location of a nation's capital is no longer as significant as it once was. But this assumption is dangerously mistaken. Capital cities are not becoming less relevant. They are becoming more important than ever. The world is witnessing a resurgence of capital city power, a renewed focus on the centers of political, economic, and cultural authority that define the modern nation-state. The rise of megacities, the concentration of global wealth and talent in a few key urban centers, and increasing importance of symbolic and cultural capital have all contributed to a new era of capital city dominance. The world's most powerful capital cities, Washington, D.C., Beijing, London, Moscow, New Delhi, Paris, and Tokyo, are not just administrative centers. They're the command centers of the global order, the seats of power that shape the destiny of billions of people. The old assumption that capital cities are fading in importance is being replaced by a new recognition of their centrality. The 21st century is becoming the century of the capital city, a time when the world's most important political, economic, and cultural decisions are being made in a handful of urban centers. The rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, the shifting balance of global power, the increasing importance of soft power, and the growing competition for global influence all point to the same conclusion. Capital cities matter more than ever. The world has been told that the era of the nation-state is ending, that globalization is eroding the power of national governments, and that the future belongs to decentralized networks of cities and regions. This is a lie. The nation-state is not disappearing. It is transforming, and its power is increasingly concentrated in its capital city. The capital city is the nerve center of the nation-state, the place where the most important decisions are made, the most powerful interests are represented, and the most influential narratives are shaped. The capital city is the heart of the nation, and the nation is not dying. It is evolving. To understand why capital cities matter more than ever, we must first travel back in time to an era when capital cities were symbols of power and prestige, but their actual influence was limited by the constraints of technology and geography. The ancient world was a world of empires, where the capital city was the center of the known universe, the seat of the emperor, the heart of the empire. The Roman Empire, the Chinese Empire, the Persian Empire, and the Byzantine Empire all had capital cities that were the centers of power, but their influence was limited by the speed of communication and the difficulty of travel. The medieval period was a time of fragmented power, where the capital city was one of many centers of authority, competing with regional lords, religious institutions, and merchant guilds. The power of the capital city was often contested, and the ability of the monarch to project power beyond the walls of the city was limited by the feudal structure of society. The capital city was a place of symbolic importance, but its actual influence was often constrained by the realities of decentralized power. The modern era began with the rise of the nation-state and the concentration of power in the capital city. The Treaty of Westphalia in 1648 established a modern system of sovereign states, and the capital city emerged as the center of national power. The French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, and the rise of nationalism all contributed to the growing importance of the capital city, as the nation-state became the primary unit of political organization, and the capital city became the center of national identity. The 20th century was the era of the capital city, a time when the world's most powerful nations built massive capital cities that were the centers of political power, economic activity, and cultural influence. The rise of the United States, the Soviet Union, and China all contributed to the growing importance of capital cities, as the world's most powerful nations concentrated their power in their capitals. The Cold War was a struggle between two capital cities, Washington, D.C. and Moscow, and the outcome of that struggle was determined by the power and influence of those cities. But the 21st century has ushered in a new era, an era in which capital cities are becoming even more important, as the forces of globalization, technology, and competition have concentrated power in a few key urban centers. The world is becoming more centralized, not less, and the capital city is the center of that centralization. The hidden power of capital cities lies in their ability to concentrate political, economic, and cultural power in a single location, creating a virtuous cycle of investment, talent, and influence that reinforces the centrality of the capital city. The capital city is not just a place where decisions are made. It is a place where power is created, nurtured, and amplified, a place where the most powerful interests are represented and the most influential narratives are shaped. The first hidden layer is political power. The capital city is the seat of the national government, the center of the political system, and the focus of political activity. The executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government are concentrated in the capital city, as are the military, intelligence, and diplomatic establishments. The capital city is the nerve center of the nation, the place where the most important decisions are made and the most powerful interests are represented. The concentration of political power in the capital city gives it a unique ability to shape the destiny of the nation. The second hidden layer is economic power. The capital city is the center of the national economy, the location of the most important financial institutions, multinational corporations, and economic decision-making. The capital city attracts investment, talent, and innovation, creating a virtuous cycle of economic growth and development. The economic power of the capital city reinforces its political power, as the most powerful economic interests are concentrated in the same location as the most powerful political interests. The third hidden layer is cultural power. The capital city is the center of national culture, the location of the most important museums, galleries, theaters, and cultural institutions. The capital city is a place where the national narrative is shaped, where the most influential media outlets are located, and where the most powerful cultural figures are concentrated. The cultural power of the capital city reinforces its political and economic power, as the most influential cultural narratives are shaped in the same location as the most important political and economic decisions. The fourth hidden layer is symbolic power. The capital city is a symbol of the nation, the place where the national identity is most clearly expressed and the national pride is most visibly displayed. The capital city is the focus of national celebrations, the location of national monuments, and the symbol of national sovereignty. The symbolic power of the capital city reinforces its political, economic, and cultural power, as the nation is identified with its capital city and the capital city is identified with the nation. The hidden power of capital cities is immense, and it is growing. The capital city is not just a place. It is a power center, and its power is increasing. The power of capital cities is not confined to the borders of the nation. The ripple effects of capital city power are felt across the globe, affecting international relations, global governance, and the balance of power. The world's most powerful capital cities are not just national capitals. They are global cities, the centers of the global order, the places where the most important international decisions are made and the most influential international relationships are formed. The first ripple is a concentration of global power. The world's most powerful capital cities, Washington, D.C., Beijing, London, Moscow, New Delhi, Paris, and Tokyo, are the centers of the global order, the places where the most important international decisions are made and the most influential international relationships are formed. The concentration of global power in a few key urban centers is a defining feature of the modern world, and it is a trend that is likely to continue. The second ripple is the competition for global influence. The competition between the world's most powerful capital cities is intensifying as nations vie for influence in a rapidly changing world. Washington, D.C. and Beijing are engaged in a struggle for global leadership, a struggle that is being played out in the capital cities of the world. The competition for global influence is a competition for control of the capital city, and the outcome of that competition will shape the future of the global order. The third ripple is the transformation of global governance. The increasing power of capital cities is transforming the nature of global governance as the world's most powerful nations concentrate their power in their capitals and use that power to shape the rules of the global order. The global governance system is becoming more centralized as the world's most powerful capital cities assert their authority over the international system. The fourth ripple is the shift in the global balance of power. The rise of China and the resurgence of Russia are shifting the global balance of power, and the capital cities of the rising powers are becoming more important. Beijing and Moscow are emerging as centers of global power, challenging the dominance of Washington, D.C. and London. The The shift in the global balance of power is a shift in the power of capital cities. The global ripple of capital city power is spreading, and the world is only beginning to understand the full implications. The power of capital cities is not without its challenges. The concentration of power in a few key urban centers creates a host of problems, including inequality, congestion, and political polarization. The world's most powerful capital cities are facing a critical challenge, a challenge that will determine whether they can continue to thrive in the 21st century. The first challenge is inequality. The concentration of power and wealth in the capital city creates a growing divide between the capital city and the rest of the country, a divide that is fueling political polarization and social unrest. The capital city is becoming increasingly disconnected from the rest of the nation, and the growing divide is threatening the legitimacy of the political system. The second challenge is congestion. The concentration of people and economic activity in the capital city is creating a host of problems, including traffic congestion, housing shortages, and environmental degradation. The quality of life in the capital city is declining, and the growing problems are threatening the ability of the capital city to attract and retain talent. The third challenge is political polarization. The concentration of power in the capital city is fueling political polarization. As the capital city becomes increasingly disconnected from the rest of the nation, the political system is becoming more dysfunctional, and the growing polarization is threatening the stability of the political system. The fourth challenge is the need for innovation. The capital city must adapt to the changing circumstances of the 21st century, embracing innovation and technology to address the challenges of inequality, congestion, and polarization. The capital city must become more resilient, more sustainable, and more inclusive. The future of the capital city is a future of uncertainty, a future that is shaped by the choices that we make today. Two paths lie ahead, two completely different destinies. In the first path, the capital city adapts to the challenges of the 21st century, embracing innovation and technology to address the problems of inequality, congestion, and polarization. The capital city becomes more resilient, more sustainable, and more inclusive, and it continues to thrive as the center of national power. In the second path, the capital city fails to adapt, overwhelmed by the challenges of inequality, congestion, and polarization. The capital city becomes increasingly dysfunctional, and the nation is torn apart by the growing divide between the capital and the rest of the country. The question is not whether capital cities will continue to matter. The question is whether they can adapt in time. The map never lies, but the people drawing it always have a reason. We just saw why capital cities matter more than ever. But there is one nation quietly building a new capital city to challenge the old order. That is the next journey. Which future do you believe? Comment Future 1 or Future 2, and subscribe to Atlas Beyond so you never miss the next journey.